Hello everyone and welcome to HowFixIT. In this video I'm going to show you how to replace the glass on iPhone XR. In this case, the rear glass of the iPhone XR broken, and as you can see, the camera glass broken too. I recommend buying a glass together with the frame and camera glass in the kit. As you can see, the camera frame is already installed on the rear glass and welded from the factory, and therefore this will really simplify the repair process. I'll link to this glass of the iPhone XR in the description. Yes, this glass is a copy of the original glass, because there are not original glass on sale. If you compare glass by color, the glasses are not different even when comparing one to one. If on your iPhone XR the glass on the case is broken, but the glass on the camera is preserved, then you can replace the glass without disassembling the phone. I left link to replace the glass without disassembling here and in the description. And so, the goal of this video is show you how to replace glass with your own hands even at home without using special equipment. Let's move on to the list of necessary tools for repair iPhone XR. The first and most important tool is the set of screwdriver. You will need 4 types of screwdrivers: plastic mediator, tweezers, plastic opening tool, a suction cup for removing display, glue B7000, adhesive tape for restore water protection, adhesive silicone tape for the battery. For all these tools and spare parts, I have link in the description under the video. And the last very important auxiliary tool, without which I do not start any complicated repairs, is a magnetic mat. Using it, you can step by step to lay out each screws, and due to this magnetic base, this screw and metal parts will remain in place. All this important when all screws are different size, like in iPhone XR, and it's very important when you reassemble it back. Before you start disassemble, do not forget to turn off iPhone and remove the tray with SIM card. Remove 2 screws near charging port and let's begin to open the case. To open the case, you need to heat up the surface of display. Even ordinary hairdryer will be enough for this. Warm up the lower part of the display especially well. From here we begin to open the case. Fix the suction cup on the bottom of the display and pull up the ring cap until a small gap appears between the display and the iPhone case. Next, push the mediator inside and begin to unstick the iPhone case from the display. In the iPhone XR, it is not always easy to open the case. If you cannot push the mediator, try using thin plastic card. Also, do not strongly push the mediator inside the phone, so as not to damage the internal elements and cables. Turn the display to the right side, that is, open the case like a book. You can fix the suction cup in the middle of display and use it as a support. The first what you do when open the iPhone is to disconnect the battery cable from the main board. the display removed, it will no longer be needed, so put it away and go directly to removal of all parts from the iPhone XR. Let's start the disassembly from the bottom of iPhone. In the process of disassembling the smartphone, there is nothing complicated. The main thing is to lay out all removed parts and screws in order so as not to get confusing during the reassembly. The speaker in iPhone XR is glued to the bottom of the case, and if you want to keep the factory adhesive tape and reuse it when reassembling, heat up with a hairdryer and at the same time unstick the speaker. In my case, it didn't peel off perfectly, but even this can be reused. Let's move on and go to the motherboard. When the motherboard no longer holds a cable with a charging connector, you can remove it. The cable is glued to the case, so use the hairdryer again. The smartphone battery is glued to the case with silicone tapes, so take the tweezers and unstick the edge of the tape. Now pull the tape away from the battery. Yes, often the silicone tapes tear and remain under the battery, but there is nothing critical. I will remove it later. Next step is removal of Face ID module. Be careful with the cables of the Face ID module. They are glued to the case and they need to be peeled off. Take a plastic tool and carefully prying from the bottom, begin to peel off the cables. You can additionally warm with a hairdryer, and then it will be even easier to separate from the case. All the main parts already removed from the case. It remains to remove the wireless charger module and flash diffuser. This cable is also glued, so it's very carefully peel it off with a non-sharp tool. The flash diffuser is located under the metal bracket and it is held by these 4 metal mounts. So use the tweezers to carefully bend this metal mount and remove this bracket. The flash diffuser is glued to the case, so take a hairdryer from the surface and carefully remove it. The wireless charging module is glued to the case only along the edge, so you need to unstick it only around. Now I'm showing you how to remove the camera frame. Take any metal and flat tool. For example, you can take a flat screwdriver and, starting from the corner of the frame, pry the bottom. The inside of the frame, which is welded to the rear case, will begin to crack. Let's begin to remove broken glass from the iPhone back housing. If you use a regular hairdryer, turn on the hottest mode. I recommend you find a heat gun that works up to 115 degrees Celsius, because removing a broken glass with an ordinary hairdryer will be quite difficult. Before you start removing the glass, I recommend using glasses to protect your eyes. It is very important. In the process of repair on this step, you should be careful not to get small parts of the glass in your eyes. As you can see, the glass on this case is broken in different ways, and on the yellow iPhone XR it is possible to pry glass with tweezers and peel off. In the case of the red back housing are more complicated. You can't pry with tweezers, so you need to break the glass. To do this, use any ordinary plastic cover and stick a double-sided tape on top to hold it better. Warm the glass surface and press until a gap appears. Pry the glass with tweezers and begin to peel off the glass. Removing the glass from the case will take some time. The glass near the frame is most easily peel off, but be careful. The frame is plastic and can be easily damaged. There are places where it's easier to cut off the glue if the temperature of your hairdryer is not enough. Again, I repeat, at the temperature of 315 degrees Celsius, the glass is much easier to peel off. Take isopropyl alcohol and clean the back housing from the old glue. Now it's time to glue the glass to the back housing. Also glue the frame of the camera in place where the frame was welded to the back housing. Now you need to give 30 minutes to harden glue. Put something heavy on the case, or you can use special clamps. While the glue hardens, you have time to relax a bit, have a cup of coffee and begin reassembling. Reassembling process requires attention because if you make mistake, then something may not work correctly. You will have to disassemble everything back and look for the problem. So be careful and screw everything into the right place. Almost everything is assembled. It remains to stick the battery. It needs to be glued, and for gluing I will use the same silicone adhesive tape that were removed from under the battery when disassembling. The silicone tape glued to the battery, but most important, before gluing, make sure that you glued them to the right side on the battery. The iPhone assembled, and before gluing the case, you need to test it. For test, just connect the display. First, connect the 3 cables of the display, and lastly, the battery cable. iPhone turned on, and it is already good news. Enter password code, log the phone again, and check the Face ID module. Everything is fine, Face ID works, and this is most important in my opinion. Let's check the camera right away. Everything is fine with camera, and let's go to check front camera. Front camera also works. And check all other function, and if everything's fine, go to the gluing case. Before attaching a new adhesive tape, make sure that you glue it to the right side on the back housing. This sticker restores protection against water and dust, but you should understand, this is not a factory sealed assembly, and it doesn't provide 100% protection against water. And, of course, this phone should not be used for underwater photo shots. Press the sticker to the case so its stick be better. Well, on this step the repair finished. you are on HowFixIT, and see you guys next time.